The Studio, Apple Plus's new series starring Seth Rogen, Chase Sweet Wonders, Ike Barinholtz, Katherine Hahn, Catherine O'Hara, Bryan Cranston, and many, many more. If you know anything about the show, then you already know there is tons of celebrity cameos, and I'll get into that later. But this show follows Seth Rogen's character, Matt Remick, who just became a studio head at Continental Studios. And he's been there for 20 years, he's done the work, he worked his way all the way to the top, and now's his time to shine. When I saw this trailer, I think the trailer premiered at the Oscars, or maybe that's just the first time I saw the trailer. But when I saw this trailer, I was like, that's a very interesting idea, and I was immediately intrigued by it. It looked funny, it looked interesting, and I like that it took place in reality. Yeah, I'm happy to report that it was a pretty damn good show, and at the very least, it's entertaining and funny, especially if you are someone like me who loves movies and movies are your life. This show is made for those people. I think the average person watching the show will find some humor in it because the jokes are pretty good, the writing is pretty sharp, but like 90% of the dialogue is niche movie references, so there's very much a targeted audience. And for the most part, that's me. But I will say, aside from like The Office or Parks and Rec, I don't really watch comedy. I wanted the show to be more akin to The Bear, where there's a real dramatic story, real character arcs with a lot of comedy, but it's like a good balance. The Bear, that's why it's so special. That's one of the reasons why The Bear is so special. It just strikes that balance perfectly. I think this show is leaning on comedy way more. There's not really a dramatic story here. There is like an overarching theme. There is an overarching character. Not really an arc, but there is progression. I'm sure we'll get more of an arc in the later seasons, because at the very beginning of the show, in the first episode, Matt Remick, there's a moment where he says,
and I got into all this because, I love movies, but now I have this fear that my job is to ruin them.
And I think the show tackles that fairly well. I feel like all the serious stuff in this show is acknowledged but not really delved into. I think they did a pretty good job. Like, the big thing of this show is that Matt Remick, he's an extremely insecure person. He just really wants to be liked by people. He wants to be taken seriously. He doesn't want to just be viewed as the suit, as an executive. He wants to be part of Hollywood. He wants to feel like an artist. Like, he wants to get that validation from artists. Part of the show is him just realizing, like, you're just an executive. It's important what you do, but you're not quite an artist. And all these questions and all these themes get posed, but I feel like there's not really a payoff. This show has already gotten greenlit for a season 2, so perhaps in the next season, perhaps in later seasons, like, there will be more of a payoff, and right now we're just establishing these characters. So, the show's not that deep, but like I said, it's very entertaining. I love the dialogue, I love the comedy. I love the references. The comedy is a very specific thing because his character is like so dumb. He just is constantly making mistakes because of his own insecurities and need for validation. His pursuit of this is constantly making situations worse. He's constantly complicating things, and it's a little bit unrealistic. The show kind of it leaves reality a little bit. Like, The Bear is grounded for the most part. I feel like this show does leave reality a little bit and creates these like sitcom-esque situations that are just so outlandish, so cringe, and you're just like, oh, how are you gonna get out of this now? I mean, as much as I cringe and as much as I was like on the verge of yelling at the TV, like, what are you doing? Like, open your eyes, think, man. It makes for entertaining television, so it's not quite my thing, but I mean, hey, I saw the 10 episodes, so I guess it worked, but for some people, they'll be laughing at the absurdity, But yeah, I think the dynamic of the other characters of the main core cast, I think their dynamics was really great. I think Chase Wonders she was great. She was really funny. She was really weird. She was really, she had her moments where I was like, whoa, like, your character is wild, And obviously, Ike Barinholtz, he's a pretty funny guy as well. He's really over the top. His expressions are insane. But yeah, I liked him as well. Catherine Hahn is a comedic genius, man. She plays the head of marketing, and she's like obviously like a middle-aged woman, but she's constantly saying all of these millennial Gen Z type phrases. Like, she says like, "Oh, no cap," or like, "That's freaking dope, bro." Like, she just talks like that, and she's like She's really cringe, but she's really, really funny. She really delivers that performance. And yeah, I mean, Seth Rogen's good too. I think Seth plays that character, that insecure character. I'm sure it's based off of some reality of himself. He plays it really well. And like I said, I was wanting to yell at the screen so many times. So he does a great job. As for the cameos, a lot of good ones. I really enjoyed them. Sometimes, like, there's a few writers and directors, and there's a few of those where it did feel like, oh, you're not an actor. Like, they did feel wooden. But like Martin Scorsese or Ron Howard, those are two directors that have acted, and they did a really good job. And those probably had to be my favorite cameos, especially Ron Howard's. I don't want to give it away, but if you know, you know. Like, his cameo, his twist, I guess you could say. He's great. He's great. So yeah, a lot of good cameos. Freaking Anthony Mackie was pretty damn good too. And I just feel like the show did a really good job utilizing these cameos to like make this feel real and to give you behind the scenes of how a studio must work. And I'm sure, I know this is a very exaggerated version, but I feel like the show still succeeds in like shedding some light on the people who make movies. You know, like, of course the artist makes the film, but these people facilitate it, and they're part of the process as well, you know. And I think the show also does a good job of like painting that picture of some people at studios, or a lot of people at studios, really love movies just as much as we do, but sometimes they have no choice because Hollywood is a business, and they have no choice but to make decisions that aren't always in favor of art, and they're just in favor of making more money and making investors happy. So yeah, I think the show does a good job in making you feel those things, like a little bit of understanding. But I mean, at the end of the day, we hate it, you know. And I think the show does acknowledges that, like, the absurdity of the choices they're making. And I think that's why one of my favorite episodes probably has to be the one where they're deciding on the casting for Kool-Aid Man. I thought that was really funny. I thought that was really relatable, really realistic, of just how ridiculous the thought process goes in about diversity. This person's black, this person's Asian, there's too many white people here, but now if we make it all black, and you know, like, it's just all of those conversations that I'm sure go on in focus groups in studios, you know. So I thought that episode was pretty damn hilarious. But the ending, the last two episodes, the CinemaCon arc, I guess you could call it, man, that was crazy and really, really funny, really absurd, like the whole show. Dave Franco was really good. Zoe Kravitz, I'm surprised she's in the show for 3 episodes, and she does a great job as well. Yeah, I really overall really like the show. The filmmaking style is like Birdman, which I kind of like. The overall atmosphere of Birdman is like a handheld camera, wonders, walk with me, walking through buildings, walking through rooms, going downstairs, and the entire time there's like jazz drums going in the background, and that's very much the show, like jazz drum score and that whole cinematography aspect as well. And I really like the soundtrack. The soundtrack is a ton of old 1940s music. I loved it. Very reminiscent of the golden age of Hollywood, you know. So I just like the overall aesthetic that the show kind of went for. And yeah, I like the ending. The ending was pretty nice, pretty fulfilling, sweet, really feel good. And it just, like, the show does a good job of just tying a bow of like, we love movies, and like that's the takeaway of this show. We love movies, and this is a celebration of the movie making process of the studio level, because we don't really get that always, you know. It's easy just to view the studios as bad guys. I know I do, and I'm sure we all, for the most part, at least those of us who like really love art, yeah, we can't help but hate studios, you know. But this was a breath of fresh air, you know. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I wanted the show to be deeper. I wanted it to be a little bit more serious. It doesn't quite get there for me, but I think it's totally worth it. It's really entertaining, really funny, especially if you're into that, like the absurdity and like the crazy situations. If that's your thing, you'll eat this up 100%. But if you're more like me, you might be like, oh my god, like I can't watch this. But again, I came back because of the dialogue. It is entertaining, you know. Even though I cringe a lot, it is entertaining, and the writing's really sharp. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, check out the studio. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know your favorite cameos, your favorite episode. And yeah, thanks for watching.